I was out in Iowa City interviewing Caitlin Clark back at the end of October and kind of asked her what was going to go into her decision process. And one of the things she told me was that she was hoping to make the decision before senior day.
Can you really blame Caitlin Clark for ruining the WNBA draft, given everything she's been through? She was the league's golden girl, the star who drew attention and packed stadiums just a year ago. However, today, she has had enough of the authorities' crude, almost ridiculous actions, because you would also be furious after witnessing firsthand the humiliation, underhanded cheating, racial taunts, and uncalled fouls that come with surviving in this league. She's also not keeping quiet.
She clearly knew what she wanted to do, and I love it because I've been through a senior day. It's a really emotional experience. It's a great time to kind of say thank you to the fans.
And ESPN has stirred the pot with their own nonsense. And now Clark's message couldn't be clearer. And this time she's speaking out not just for herself, but for those little girls out there, the ones dreaming of a future in basketball, totally clueless about the uphill battle that awaits. So I think those were two of my biggest goals. And then obviously college basketball has come true, and then hopefully the WNBA here very shortly. But I think as a young girl, I was super competitive, and my parents always knew that. And I was always somebody that was driven by goals. And I think that's kind of remained the same. And if you don't know the details yet, let me spill it all for you. So the event we're talking about is the WNBA Draft Lottery. Every single year, the WNBA, basically the pinnacle of women's basketball, pulls in fresh talent from colleges and international leagues. But don't think for a second it's as simple as teams just choosing whoever they want. You also look at her assist numbers. She's 6th all-time in assists. This year, she's leading the nation in assists. Oh, no, that'd be way too easy. Instead, we've got this absolutely wild lottery system. Imagine a game of chance, but with sky-high stakes, where teams are fighting to pull their sorry franchises out of the basketball abyss. It's not just some game. For them, it's survival. Caitlin Clark is the best offensive player that we have seen in the history of the women's college game, and then everything else that encompasses what she is doing in terms of growing the game, things we've never seen on the women's college side, not only selling out all her home games, but on the road as well. Why, you ask? Because getting a top draft pick is a total life changer. If your team has been a complete disaster, winning just enough games to keep fans mildly awake, you desperately need that first pick. We're talking about the kind of pick that could land you the next Caitlin Clark, a player who doesn't just play well, but lights up the entire scoreboard and drags your team out of irrelevance. For these struggling franchises, it's like stumbling across a diamond after years of digging through rocks. It's hope. It's a shot at redemption. And let's be real, it's the only thing keeping their fan base from abandoning ship. We haven't quite seen a phenomenon in terms of the attention that Caitlin Clark is getting in the women's college game. Now, how does this crazy lottery system actually work? Buckle up, because it's kind of ridiculous. 4 teams are in the running for the number 1 pick, but it's not just about how awful they were last season. Nope, you have to be consistently terrible over the past 2 seasons to get a decent chance. The Los Angeles Sparks? Yeah, they've had a couple of seasons that had make any die-hard fan cry into their nachos, so they've got the best odds. But don't celebrate yet. The odds are just that, odds, no guarantees. The actual drawing involves a lottery machine, 14 numbered balls, and a whole lot of sweating executives. It's basically fate, but make it a sport. It wasn't something I ever really thought about too much. Like, I was aware of it just because of like the media, and like that's what people would talk about a lot. But it was never something like, oh my gosh, like I need to do this or I need to break this. It's kind of just something that has come with. The suspense is insane because when those balls start bouncing around, every team executive is holding their breath, praying to any higher power that their combination pops up. Only the top 2 picks get decided this way. After that, it's back to team records and whatever luck remains. If you don't land in the top 2, well, better luck next year, because hope is a fragile thing in this league. Look at the WNBA. They have been playing in front of 300 to 400 people a night for a quarter of a century. It's not just about chance, though. It's about dreams, a desperate need for change, and teams clinging to the possibility of a miracle player who could turn everything around. Just look at Caitlin Clark. She came in and flipped the Indiana Fever's entire script. Now, every struggling team is crossing their fingers, hoping they'll find their own savior. But reality check, talents like Clark don't just show up every draft. Even with the lottery gods smiling, there's no guarantee of a life-altering pick. Still, that slim, glimmering hope, it's worth everything. For somebody that don't watch WNBA basketball, to have women dunking on other women would definitely bring more excitement to that game. So when you hear about the WNBA draft lottery, don't think it's just about adding new players to the league. Oh no, it's an emotional roller coaster, a do or die moment that can change everything for these teams. It's a lifeline, a desperate plea for relevance, and sometimes the only dream that keeps these franchises going. All because of a few numbered balls spinning around, deciding the future. We're only playing basketball to dunk. Like, I'm not sure. So when it comes to the 2025 WNBA draft lottery, where desperation is practically seeping out of every team exec's pores, let's break down the misery, shall we? First up, the Los Angeles Sparks. Now, remember when this team was a powerhouse, dominating headlines and stacking championships? Yeah, those days are long gone. The Sparks are currently in deep trouble with a record over the past 2 years that's uglier than a turnover in the final seconds of a game, 22 wins and a stomach-churning 55 losses. This season alone, they managed a jaw-dropping 8 wins against a soul-crushing 32 losses. It's the kind of performance that keeps execs up at night, probably whispering what happened to us into their pillows. Their fans are over it, tired, frustrated. They're clinging to the hope that the lottery gods will feel merciful and toss them a lifeline, a shot at rebuilding what used to be greatness. Next, we've got the Dallas Wings. And let me tell you, they're not exactly flying high. With only 9 wins and a brutal 31 losses in 2024, their combined record over 2 seasons sits at a not-so-pretty 31-49. But here's the kicker. They share those odds with the Chicago Sky. So it's basically a desperation tie. The Wings got a taste of the playoffs in 2023, but that spark, it fizzled out real fast. Now they're back in the trenches praying for a draft miracle to set their franchise on fire. In a good way, of course. Now, because listen, why all are doing the step back, the pullback, why all doing everything we're doing? But I don't see a lot of people going up with 2 hands. Oh, it's coming. Opportunity is A. So you don't think if we just drop it to 9, 10 and a half, I guarantee Layla, she's in the dance. But my next child will be drop Steph Duncan. And the Chicago Sky, well, they're no better off. Also sitting at 31-49 over the last 2 years, they share that 22.7% chance of snagging the top pick. And let's be honest, they need it just as badly. In 2024, they stumbled to a depressing 13 wins and 27 losses. Sure, they had a moment of playoff success in 2023, but since then, the wheels have come off, and the Sky fans, they're about one more disappointing season away from storming the front office with picket signs. They need a player who can turn this sinking ship around, and it's all riding on a handful of bouncing ping pong balls. So the 2025 WNBA draft obviously is headlined by Paige Bueckers. Paige Bueckers is one of the best players there's been. Obviously, she could have came out last year, but if she was in last year's draft, she would have been the number 2 to Caitlin Clark. Last but not least, we've got the Washington Mystics. Their odds of getting the number 1 pick a meager 10.4%. They finished the 2024 season with 14 wins and 26 losses, which by lottery standards makes them the kid at the back of the line, hoping for a miracle. Just a year ago, they were playoff contenders, but now reality has come crashing down, and it's not pretty. Sure, they've got a slim chance, but let's be real. They're facing an uphill battle, and even they know it. The Mystics with a 10% chance. With number 1, LA with 2. We had Dallas at 3, Chicago 4, and then obviously 5 through. Well, realistically, yeah, 5 through 12 are all the same. So, and then there's the elephant in the room, Caitlin Clark. Her name alone probably sends shivers down these teams' spines. She was the number 1 pick in 2024. She was the number 1 pick in the history of the team. She had a fever snatched up by the Indiana Fever, and wow, did she deliver. Clark didn't just play. She changed the game. She dragged the Fever from the depths of irrelevance and turned them into a must-watch team. She's got that superstar aura, that game-changing presence every franchise dreams of. But here's the kicker. She's not available in the 2025 draft. Sorry, lottery teams. The Fever already hit the jackpot, and now the rest of the league is left staring at an empty wishing well, hoping to strike gold with this next batch of talent. It means the Mystics can go for it like the Washington Mystics getting Paige Bueckers means they can go out next year with a lineup of Paige at the 1. You've got Sykes and Atkins at the 2 and 3 who, again, like the 3 of those players together will all be like any of them can dribble the ball. But here's the brutal reality. Players like Caitlin Clark, they don't show up every year. The Los Angeles Sparks, Dallas Wings, Chicago Sky, and Washington Mystics are all crossing their fingers, dreaming of landing someone who could have even half the impact Clark had. But it's a long shot. Clark set the bar so high it might as well be in orbit. The Fever got insanely lucky, and now every struggling franchise is wondering if fate will be kind or if they'll just have to keep grinding in mediocrity. Because while the 2025 draft will definitely have stars expecting another Caitlin Clark, well, that's like expecting a lottery win. And we all know how that usually turns out.